When The Sopranos first faded to black, viewers stared at their screens, unsure whether to blame HBO, the remote, or David Chase. Some called it a betrayal.
How much more betrayal can I take?
Others, genius. Forums filled with outrage, families argued over dinner tables about what really happened.
All I know is you never had the makings of a varsity athlete.
Oh, son of a bitch!
Did Tony die? Was he spared? Why end something that defined an era with nothing but silence? That moment, 10 seconds of black, became one of the most analyzed cuts in the history of modern storytelling. People felt robbed of closure, and yet, years later, that same void feels like the only ending that could survive time. Chase didn't give us ambiguity to frustrate us.
Cocksuckers.
He built a mirror so large we could never stop looking into it. When you return to the series now, the ending no longer feels abrupt. It feels inevitable. Every scene had been preparing us for it.
Come on.
The tension wasn't leading toward a gunshot. It was teaching us that Tony's world doesn't resolve. His life, like his mind, is a series of half-finished thoughts. He eats, he talks.
You got a lot of fucking balls, you know that?
He kills. He apologizes.
All right, listen, I didn't mean to bite your head off in there.
Then it repeats.
I'm sorry for talking to you the way I did.
The black screen didn't end the story. It confirmed that it was always circling itself.
Focus on the good times.
You remember the little moments. Like this. That were good.
Wait a minute. You walked in a circle.
In the years following that finale, people tried to decode it like scripture. Some froze the frame before the cut, searching for a muzzle flash, a reflection, a hint of movement in Meadows' eyes. Others quoted that haunting conversation between Tony and Bobby.
You probably don't even hear it when it happens, right?
It became the seed of a theory, that Tony was shot mid-bite, that the silence was the silence of death. The editing even supports the rhythm. The bell on the diner door rings, the camera cuts to Tony's face, and then nothing.
And then it goes to black. It was so sudden and strange. Really took everybody by surprise.
It's tempting to treat that moment as confirmation.
That's it. That's the end of the story.
But the genius of The Sopranos lies in how it keeps that possibility alive without letting it consume the meaning.
And I'm thinking to myself, this is David. This is fucking David. This is exactly how he wanted to end this show.
Maybe Tony died. Maybe he didn't.
I think what I was thinking about was the universe goes on and on.
The beauty is that both interpretations live in the same space. The Sopranos was never just a story about how a man dies. It's about how a man keeps living when every part of him already has.
The ending is whatever you want it to be.
See, now people will say, see, he admitted Tony died. The truth is,
what made people so angry back then wasn't the lack of an answer. It was the confrontation with silence. Television had trained us to expect rhythm. Setup, conflict, resolution. The Sopranos ended by teaching us that real life has none of those structures. You could be talking about onion rings one second and disappear the next. The black screen hit different because the show had conditioned us to read every detail. Every dream sequence, every therapy session, every dinner carried hidden meaning. We were trained to analyze Tony's gestures the way he analyzed his own thoughts. And then Chase ripped that power away, leaving us in the same helpless confusion Tony always lived with. Over time, the outrage faded, replaced by a kind of reverence. What once felt like a prank now feels prophetic. It wasn't an ending we failed to understand. It was an ending we weren't ready to accept.
Yeah, big resolution and impact means nothing because 20 minutes later you forget the whole show.
The cut to black aged into something almost spiritual. The silence became part of the show's rhythm, its final act of honesty.
If you build philosophical end, open end, this show is going to live forever. Nobody's going to figure it out.
Tony Soprano, played by James Gandolfini, exists in a state of permanent repetition. His days are structured like rituals: breakfast, therapy, business, violence, denial, and back again. He is always trying to balance contradiction,
How complicated is it?
to be a father and a boss,
Are you in the mafia?
a lover and a husband, a sinner and a man of faith. Every time he walks into Dr. Melfi's office, played by Lorraine Bracco, it's an attempt to locate the line between his identity and his instincts. He talks about panic attacks, about pressure, about his mother, about respect. Melfi listens, sometimes gently, sometimes with frustration, knowing that each confession is just a reset. Therapy doesn't heal Tony, it only gives his guilt vocabulary. That's what makes the show timeless. It captures a kind of spiritual fatigue that feels more modern now than it did in 1999. Tony's emptiness is familiar because it's ours. We live surrounded by comfort, yet ruled by dissatisfaction. He has wealth, family, food, control.
Where's the fucking money?
And still, every meal feels like punishment. The ducks from the first season tell us everything. When they fly away, Tony collapses. He can't explain why. He calls it a panic attack, but it's closer to grief. The ducks represented the illusion that something pure could stay.
Hey, kids, come here. Come here, they're trying to fly.
Ugh.
Come here, the babies, they're trying to fly.
That moment becomes a thesis for the entire series. Everything Tony loves eventually leaves. The more he tries to hold on, the faster it slips. The beauty of the Bobby scene, that offhand, you probably don't even hear it when it happens, is how casual it is. It's tossed into conversation like a joke, then left to rot in the audience's mind for years.
Listen to us. Morbid fucks.
When Tony sits in that diner, it returns like an echo. If that line is prophecy, then the finale becomes a study in perspective. We experience Tony's death the way he would, abruptly, without warning, without even a sound. But maybe it's not death at all.
What?
Maybe the silence is the noise he's been running from finally catching up. Maybe it's the universe saying nothing because nothing is left to say.
Movie never ends. It goes on and on and on.
David Chase has danced around the question for years, teasing, retracting, hinting at what it means. He knows the mystery doesn't need an answer. The uncertainty is the point.
And cut.
What makes Tony such a lasting symbol isn't his violence or charisma. It's his exhaustion.
E basta.
He embodies the modern man who has everything except meaning. The suburban house, the pool, the flat-screen TV, the Sunday dinners, they all perform stability. Yet every gesture feels haunted by dread. In another era, men like Tony were kings. Now they're middle managers in track pants, ruling over fading empires and pretending their vices are virtues. That's why The Sopranos still feels prophetic. It saw the collapse of the American dream before we admitted it was happening.
The best is over.
Many Americans, I think, feel that way.
Tony isn't an outlier. He's the blueprint. The contradictions that tear him apart, wealth and guilt, masculinity and fear, faith and nihilism, have become the foundation of the modern condition.
The shoe fits.
No doubt.
We're all trying to manage the same anxiety, just with better lighting and higher definition distractions. Even his relationship with Melfi feels like a cultural forecast. Therapy, once taboo, now defines how we narrate our own lives. Everyone speaks in confessionals. Everyone brands their trauma as content. Tony's inner monologue became our social feed, a constant negotiation between who we are and who we pretend to be. What The Sopranos did for television can't be overstated. It shattered the idea that TV was disposable storytelling. It made ambiguity mainstream.
I don't know. Stress, maybe.
Forcing networks to treat audiences as thinkers, not consumers. Without The Sopranos, there's no Breaking Bad, no Mad Men, no Succession. Every antihero that came after still lives in Tony's shadow. Yet its cultural endurance isn't about plot or influence. It's about texture, the way it feels to exist in that world. The quiet dread of domesticity. The sudden bursts of violence. The constant shuffle between therapy and murder. The show lingers because it understood the performance of everyday life before social media turned it into theater. Tony Soprano remains the most human character television has produced because he isn't a monster. He's just honest about the things others hide better.
We're soldiers, you know. Soldiers don't go to hell.
The show doesn't moralize him, it observes him. Every decision, every betrayal, every moment of grace feels earned through fatigue. That's what makes the final cut so haunting. It isn't justice or tragedy, but continuity. The story doesn't stop there. It just drifts beyond our sight, like a signal fading out mid-transmission. If you made it this far, you already know The Sopranos isn't something you just watch. It's something that stays with you. So if you want more deep dives into stories that refuse to end, subscribe. There's always another cut to analyze, another silence to sit in. And as for Tony,
You probably don't even hear it when it happens.